Every morning, you step into a battlefield you cannot see. Before the demands, the pressure, and the unknown ahead, there is one choice that changes everything. When you start your day with prayer, you receive strength for the battle and protection for every step.
Every day you wake up, you face a brand new battlefield. The world is filled with challenges, distractions, temptations, and burdens waiting to steal your joy and drain your peace. But before you step out of your door, before you answer a single phone call, and before you face another demand, there is one thing that can change everything about your day, starting it with God. When you begin your morning in prayer, you are not just preparing yourself for the day. You are inviting heaven into your schedule. You are declaring that your strength does not come from coffee, news headlines, or your own willpower, but from the Almighty, who holds the whole universe in his hands. Acknowledging God as your source of strength is one of the most powerful ways to begin each day, because it shifts your focus from your limited ability to his unlimited power. Many people wake up and immediately feel the weight of responsibilities pressing on them. The deadlines, the financial concerns, the family issues, the unexpected troubles that life brings. In those moments, it is easy to rely solely on your own strength, trying to push through the day with determination and willpower. But human strength has limits. It can be drained, shaken, and broken under pressure. When you start your morning by acknowledging God as your source, you are essentially confessing, I cannot do this alone. And I don't have to, because you, Lord, are my strength. That simple act of surrender opens the door for God's supernatural empowerment to carry you through situations that would otherwise exhaust you. Morning prayer becomes the point of connection where weakness meets divine strength. Instead of being weighed down by fear of the unknown, prayer anchors you in God's presence. It humbles the heart, reminding you that every breath you take, every step you make, is a gift from him. Acknowledging God in this way is not about admitting defeat, but about declaring dependence on the one who never fails. It transforms your outlook, giving you courage to face obstacles that once felt overwhelming. You are no longer standing on shaky ground, but on the unshakable foundation of God's power. This acknowledgement also produces a deep sense of peace. Knowing that your strength comes from God relieves you from the constant pressure of having to hold everything together by yourself. You recognize that the God who created the heavens and the earth is also sustaining you, guiding you, and empowering you for the tasks ahead. With that realization, even the heaviest burdens feel lighter because you are not carrying them alone. Consider the example of a young woman preparing for a crucial job interview. She feels nervous, insecure, and unqualified compared to other candidates. If she depended only on her own abilities, her anxiety might paralyze her. But instead, she wakes up early, kneels by her bed, and says, Lord, I know this opportunity is bigger than me. I don't want to rely on my words or my confidence. I want to rely on your strength. Fill me with peace. Give me clarity, and let your presence go before me. By beginning her day in prayer, she exchanges fear for faith, weakness for strength, and doubt for confidence in God. When she walks into the interview, she carries not just her resume, but the quiet assurance that the Lord is with her. That shift in perspective changes her entire demeanor, and whether or not she gets the job, she walks away victorious because she knows her strength did not come from herself, but from God. In the same way, every believer can choose daily to rely on God's strength rather than their own. It is not about what you can handle, but about what God can handle through you. When you start your day acknowledging Him as your source, you position yourself for victory, no matter what challenges lie ahead. Inviting God's protection over your day is one of the greatest blessings of beginning the morning in prayer. Life is uncertain. None of us truly knows what the next hour will hold, let alone the entire day. There are unseen dangers, unexpected problems, spiritual battles, and even small discouragements that can chip away at your peace if you are not covered. When you pause before stepping into the business of life and ask the Lord to surround you with His protection, you are acknowledging that He alone sees what lies ahead and that His power is greater than any challenge you might face. Prayer acts like a shield, forming a spiritual covering that not only keeps you safe from harm, but also guards your heart and mind from the weight of fear, negativity, and doubt. This protection is not always about preventing difficulties altogether. Rather, it often means God sustains you through them, keeping you from being destroyed or overcome. When you ask Him to protect your steps, He can close doors that were meant to harm you, redirect your path away from danger, or strengthen you so that what was designed to break you ends up building you. Morning prayer then becomes like putting on armor before heading into battle. Without it, you may walk into situations vulnerable and unprepared. But when you cover yourself, your loved ones, your work, and your day in prayer, you walk with confidence knowing you are not exposed to the enemy's traps. This sense of divine protection also frees you from worry. Many people spend their mornings anxious about what might go wrong, playing scenarios in their heads about failure or danger. But when you declare God's covering over your life, you release that fear. You trade uncertainty for assurance because you trust that no matter what happens, God is watching over you. This assurance allows you to move through the day with peace, courage, and stability instead of being paralyzed by worry. An excellent example of this truth can be seen in the life of a father who commutes long distances for work every day. On one particular morning, instead of rushing straight out the door, he takes a few moments to pray. Lord, protect me on the road today. Watch over my family while I'm away. Keep us safe in your hands. That same day, as he drives along the highway, he encounters a sudden traffic accident just ahead of him. Because of a slight delay earlier in his morning, he narrowly avoids being part of it. To him, it becomes clear that God's protection was at work, not only through circumstances that shielded him from danger, but also through the peace in his heart that replaced what could have been overwhelming fear. In this way, prayer does not just guard your physical body, it protects your spirit and your mind. It gives you the confidence that no matter what happens, God's covering surrounds you. Beginning each day by inviting his protection ensures that you walk into the unknown not with fear, but with faith, clothed in his divine armor. How you begin your day has a powerful influence on everything that follows. When the morning starts with stress, distractions, or worry, it sets a tone that echoes through the rest of the hours ahead. Your mood, your decisions, your reactions, all of these are shaped by the state of your heart and mind as you enter the day. This is why beginning with God in prayer is so important. Morning prayer resets your perspective, reminding you that no matter how uncertain the world may seem, you belong to a God who is greater than any problem. It is not just a routine. It is a spiritual anchor that calms the soul and gives clarity for the challenges that lie ahead. When you start with God, you are essentially saying, I will not let chaos dictate my spirit. I choose peace because I choose you. This peace is not the shallow kind the world offers, which often depends on circumstances going your way. It is a deep, steady calm that comes from knowing that your life is in God's hands. Even when your schedule is full, your responsibilities heavy, and your uncertainties overwhelming, prayer allows you to breathe and rest in his presence. That stillness equips you to walk into your day with focus rather than frenzy. Clarity also flows from this practice. When the mind is clouded with fear, pressure, or endless to-do lists, it is difficult to think clearly or make wise decisions. But beginning the day in prayer invites God's wisdom to guide your thoughts and actions. It creates room for you to hear his direction and discern what truly matters. Instead of being pulled in 100 directions, you gain clarity about where to invest your time and how to handle challenges with wisdom rather than reaction. An excellent example of this can be seen in the life of a young teacher preparing for a busy school day. She wakes up already overwhelmed, knowing she has back-to-back classes, a parent meeting, and grading to complete. If she rushes straight into the day, her anxiety will only multiply. But she takes 10 minutes before leaving home to sit in silence and pray, Lord, calm my heart. Give me peace that steadies me and wisdom to teach with patience and clarity. That small pause changes everything. When she arrives at school, she is no longer weighed down by the chaos of her schedule. Instead, she carries a sense of calm that allows her to handle interruptions with grace and to teach with clarity of thought. What could have been a frantic and stressful day becomes purposeful and peaceful because she started with God. This is the power of setting the tone through prayer. It is not about removing every challenge, but about equipping your heart and mind to face them with peace and wisdom. Each morning becomes an opportunity to hand your day to God and allow His presence to shape your outlook. With Him, you do not stumble into the day reactive and anxious. You step into it grounded, clear, and unshaken. Aligning your heart with God's will is one of the most powerful outcomes of morning prayer. Too often, we enter the day with our own plans, our own agenda, and our own expectations. We map out what we think should happen, only to feel frustrated or disappointed when things don't unfold the way we imagined. Prayer is not simply about asking God to bless our plans. It is about surrendering those plans to Him. It is saying, Lord, I may have ideas about what today should look like, but you know what is best. Lead me where I need to go and keep me from paths that are not for me. That act of surrender transforms how we live, because instead of pushing ahead blindly, we walk in step with the One who already sees the end from the beginning. When you align your will with God's, you are no longer striving to make things work in your own strength. You begin to trust that closed doors are not failures but protections. You see delays not as setbacks, but as divine redirections. This mindset removes the exhaustion of trying to control everything and replaces it with the peace of knowing that God is guiding your steps. He becomes like a GPS that recalculates whenever you drift off course, ensuring you end up exactly where you need to be. This alignment also spares you from wasted energy. Many times, we pour ourselves into pursuits that were never meant for us, chasing opportunities that look good on the surface, but do not align with God's greater purpose for our lives. Prayer keeps your heart sensitive to His leading, so you can discern the difference between a good option and the right option. It helps you pause and ask, is this where you want me, Lord? That simple question can save months or even years of effort poured into the wrong direction. An excellent example of this can be seen in the life of a young man who was eager to start a business. He had the vision, the resources, and the drive. He mapped out every detail and was ready to launch. But before taking the final step, he prayed earnestly, asking God to align his heart with His will. He prayed, if this is not the path you want me to take, close the door, even if I don't understand why. Just a few weeks later, circumstances arose that made it impossible to pursue the venture. At first, he felt disappointed. But months later, an unexpected opportunity opened up in a completely different field that matched his gifts even more and brought greater fulfillment than he had ever imagined. Looking back, he realized that God's closed door was not rejection but redirection, saving him from a path that would have drained his energy and resources. That is the power of aligning with God's will. It saves you from walking roads that lead nowhere and ensures that every step you take is purposeful. Each morning, when you surrender your plans to Him, you are not losing control. You are gaining divine direction. And with His guidance, you will always end up exactly where you are meant to be. Carrying God's presence into everything you do means that prayer in the morning is not the end of your connection with Him, but the beginning of an awareness that continues throughout the day. Many people treat prayer as a moment they check off, a ritual completed before rushing into the business of life. But true prayer is meant to awaken you to the reality that God is not just with you in your quiet time. He is with you in every conversation, every decision, every responsibility, and every challenge you encounter. When you begin your day with Him, you are reminded that you don't leave Him behind. When you walk out your door, you carry His presence with you like a light that shines in every place you step. This awareness changes how you approach life. Suddenly, ordinary tasks take on extraordinary meaning because you recognize you are not doing them alone. Work becomes more than a job. It becomes a way to reflect God's character through diligence and integrity. Relationships become more than social connections. They become opportunities to extend His love and grace. Challenges are no longer faced with fear, but with faith, because you know you are not fighting your battles in isolation. When you carry God's presence, even the smallest actions are infused with purpose and power. Carrying His presence also gives you courage in the face of fear. When you remember that the Almighty walks with you, situations that once intimidated you lose their grip. You can walk into meetings with boldness, confront problems with clarity, and endure trials with patience, because you are not relying on yourself alone. The God who is for you becomes the strength within you. His presence becomes your confidence, reminding you that no obstacle is greater than the one who goes before you. This truth can be beautifully illustrated through the story of a young nurse working long shifts in a busy hospital. Her days are filled with pressure, quick decisions, and emotional weight as she cares for patients and comforts families. On her own, she often feels drained and overwhelmed. But she has developed a habit of starting her mornings in prayer, not just asking for strength for herself, but also inviting God's presence to go with her throughout the day. She prays, "Lord, walk with me into every room I enter. Let me carry your peace, your compassion, and your wisdom." Throughout her shift, she quietly reminds herself that God is with her. When faced with a difficult patient, instead of reacting in frustration, she finds patience she knows isn't her own. When speaking to a grieving family, words of comfort come to her heart at just the right moment. By the end of her shift, she is tired, But she is not defeated because she has carried God's presence into every interaction. Her day was more than work. It became ministry. This is what it means to take prayer beyond the morning and into life itself. You don't leave God behind after you say, Amen. You invite Him to walk with you, guide you, strengthen you, and shine through you in every setting. When you carry His presence, you discover that there is no place too ordinary and no challenge too overwhelming for Him to make extraordinary. Think of a soldier going into battle without armor. It would be foolish and dangerous. In the same way, when you rush into your day without prayer, you are stepping into a battlefield unprepared. But when you pray, you put on the armor of God. Imagine a student who takes just 10 minutes every morning to pray before school. Instead of being overwhelmed by peer pressure, anxiety, or challenges, that student walks with courage, peace, and wisdom because they already covered their day with God. That's the difference prayer makes. Every sunrise is God's invitation to walk with Him again. Do not waste your mornings scrolling through your phone or drowning in worry. Instead, lift your heart, open your mouth, and start your day with God. When you do, you will find a strength that cannot be broken, a peace that cannot be shaken, and a protection that cannot be penetrated. Morning prayer is not just a habit. It is a lifeline. So tomorrow when you wake up, don't just rise from your bed.
Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with more reflections that nourish the soul. Your presence here means so much. Come back soon. And let's continue to explore faith and meaning together.
Rise in prayer. Because the best way to face the day.
Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with more reflections that nourish the soul. Your presence here means so much. Come back soon. And let's continue to explore faith and meaning together.
With the one who already holds it in His hands.